Hello, everybody. My name is Drew, you're you, and this is Alexandra, who is from Alexandra's Art Insanity. She's got her own
Yeah,
YouTube channel, and
I
she's a
do.
lovely person. Hello, Alexandra.
Hello. It's
How are you?
so weird to be on your channel. You keep doing things on my channel. Um, and
Yeah,
now I get to
we're
be here.
yeah. I need to do probably like you need to do like probably another 3 or 4 on mine for us to break even there. But no, I have
At
wanted.
least because I got to show off your Grail pen before you talked about your Grail pen.
Oh, that's true. That's
So
true.
like we're at least like 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Well, I've been wanting to chat with you for a while because I feel like I've mentioned this before, how I've met several folks, many folks, in fact, in the fountain pen world and in the community, and I'm like, you are a fascinating human being, and you have a crazy story to tell, and yet all you do is talk about pens. And I know that on your channel you have gone beyond pens, but you were actually one of the maybe not the first, but one of the most prominent stories that I heard from somebody that really made me kind of itch for, spotlighting some of these folks in a non-pen light, because you do have a fascinating tale to tell. And just go ahead and saying it. September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So you and I talked about collaborating this month because a lot of your story revolves around that very, very serious and very important topic. So we're going to get into that tale, and then we're going to sprinkle in a few more non-cancer related tidbits as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And it was challenging for me kind of preparing for this because I am certain that you have been asked the same questions so many times, and I'm like, I don't know what those questions are. I'm sure she knows what those repetitive questions are, but I don't. So I'm like, I'm trying to avoid like the questions I think that are really repetitive and annoying. I'm like, I hope I don't give her any of those, but I probably will. So I'm sorry for that.
It honestly, it's fine. I really didn't. I talked about it a lot in the early days of Instagram. So almost 6 years ago, I talked about it a lot. And then I sort of stopped talking about it. You sort of get burnt out talking about it and explaining to people over and over again, because also people don't believe you. When I say to somebody at a pen show, somebody goes, "Oh, what happened to your leg?" And I say, "Oh, I had cancer when I was in my teens." And they go, "Oh, but like what actually happened?" And I go, "I had cancer in my teens and it killed a portion of my leg." Like people never assume like that's actually how it happened, and like don't let it stay that being the answer. And it's like, no, but this is actually how it happened.
I know so little about cancer. I'd probably just assume that. I mean, why would you assume that the person is wrong about that? That's so bizarre. Anyway, I just wanted to let folks know I've spoken to Alexandra enough to know that she is a very well spoken human being, and B has spent a lot of time kind of in the existential realm and is very comfortable talking about herself. She's very at peace with herself, and she's very confident. And
And
I wouldn't be
we
putting her on the spot
no,
if I didn't already know that.
and we've had a discussion. We've had a discussion about boundaries, and you are also very aware that there's a very dark sense of humor that comes with pediatric cancer. And I just want to say that off the top, because it can be really uncomfortable if you're not in that space. And it can be very jarring. The reality is, though, when you don't think you're going to live to your 19th birthday, your sense of humor becomes incredibly dark.
And honestly, I really like that about her. It's like when you have a chat with Alexandra, you immediately know that you're speaking with someone who has spent a lot of time in their own head and has come out of it having a very I mean, none of us have a 100% true sense of self, but some of us have a pretty good one, and it's not easily attained because you have to spend time in those dark parts of your brain. So, it's actually really refreshing. Like you can call it a dark sense of humor, but in reality, it's also a very just kind of liberated sense of reality. And I think that I like that in my friends, and I'm attracted to that in, socially. I appreciate at this point, 41 years here on this planet, I don't want to mess with folks that I have to try to figure out. And you're just kind of there, and you're like, hey, here is what it is, and I like that. So let's
Yes, there there
let's
is a
celebrate that.
certain there's a certain bluntness that comes with a traumatic brain injury where the filter just disappears.
That's
And
great.
I have people that like don't understand that the filter just disappears, but like if I think something's really cool at a pen show, you will know. It was
That's
very clear
fantastic.
in our video together that I thought your pen was as cool as you thought it was, and I was just as excited about it, and it wasn't my pen.
No, I love
There's
that.
yeah, there's no way to hide things with the traumatic brain injury. Like it's really hard to hide emotions. It's really hard to hide everything. And so I am
I think the
pretty
world
much an
needs more
open
of that.
book.
The world needs more of that. Um, so yeah, let's just say like yeah, there's a very good reason why pediatric cancer awareness month is important to you because you are a survivor of pediatric cancer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
So
what's the short version of what happened there?
uh February of 2019 I started to feel unwell, but like I was at school in the middle of nowhere and it was -40 and like maybe it was just really cold and maybe I just wasn't feeling well. And then my wisdom teeth started to act up. And so when I came home from first year university, we made the decision with my oral surgeon, my wisdom teeth were going to come out. And then we did an x ray of my jaw, and like half of my jaw looked weird. Um, the nerve looked weird. There was some weird, like, gray where there should have been bone. And so I was put on a really heavy duty course of antibiotics because we had a trip to Disney World coming up. And so we went to Disney World. I got really, really sick on the trip while still being on a high dose of antibiotics. Came back, got a went to see my oral surgeon the day before I was supposed to get my wisdom teeth out. He had talked to colleagues who had looked at my x-ray and gone, you can't touch any of her other teeth. That tooth needs to come out, but you can't touch anything else in her mouth. And that's what saved my life, is the fact that he didn't touch anything else in my mouth. He took out that one tooth. When he took out that one tooth, he found that my jaw from about here to here had dissolved. And it was infection and what should have been bone but wasn't bone, and tumor. And so actually from here to here, I have almost no nerve. And I got a drain put in, and my biopsy went to the oral pathology lab at U of T. And 10 days later, we got the call that I had this fairly rare cancer. And 5 days after that, on a Saturday, which in the cancer world never happens, I started chemotherapy.
In a week?
Actually, 5 days.
Less
It
than
took.
oh
It was less than a week. From
what
diagnosis to being admitted, because when they did the PET scan, most of the organs in my abdomen were missing.
what?
Because Burkitt's doubles in size every 18 and a half hours, and so it
Hold
was
on.
crushing my
Burkitt's?
body. Burkitt's lymphoma, which is what I was diagnosed with, doubles in size every 18 and a half hours, and so was crushing my body from the inside out.
So the reason for the expedited treatment was the aggression.
It was like I literally when you look at my pathology report and my radiology report, there's a list of organs they can't find.
They're there now though, right?
Yeah, no, they're there. There was just I was so much tumor that there were no organs.
Oh my god. So the tumors had just completely enveloped them to the point they were unrecognizable or unidentifiable.
Yeah, basically I was pretty much all tumor other than my brainstem and my spinal column, which is really funny because that's where Burkitt's likes to live, is in your brain and your spinal column. I had no Burkitt's in my brain and my spinal column. My Burkitt's attacked my bones and ate away at my bone marrow and bones, and like 89% of this shoulder and like entire area is hollow. It's just the shell of bone. And so when I was 19, I took off a jacket and I fractured my collarbone. Like pulling off a jacket, that was enough to bend my collarbone.
How long did the chemo last?
So the thing with Burkitt's is because it grows so quickly, it is the most aggressive chemotherapy regimen. The chemotherapy that they would normally give to a person over the course of 2 years, they have to give to a Burkitt's patient generally in 6 to 8 weeks. I kept getting sick, clearly, and landing myself in the ICU. And then, so what should have been 6 weeks ended up being, I think, like 12, 15 weeks.
And at that point, they were still giving you that same dose of like 2 years worth of chemo concentrate?
Yeah.
Good God.
So I didn't have white blood cells again. So I
It just
ended
killed them
chemo
all.
in September of 2019. We know what happened in 2020.
I do recall.
I didn't have white blood cells that showed up on a blood test until like December of 2020.
So that was after
Yeah.
a year of COVID.
That was like a year into COVID, a year and a half after chemo, more than a year and a half. It was over 500 days of not having white blood cells that could be picked up on a blood test.
I cannot imagine how terrifying that must have been.
Oh, it was crazy. Like, it is, I think back on it now and I go, holy shit, how did we survive it?
Seriously.
And then I go, we survived it because I had parents that basically locked down our house. I had grandparents who, as soon as my central line was pulled, squirreled me out of the city, and I moved in with them, and I was sleeping 22 hours a day. And the other 2 hours a day, they were taking me on adventures, and they were doing the respite care, but they didn't know they were doing respite care. And I had friends, you know Maya, you've heard about Maya.
I've heard the stories. It's pretty much your sister.
Basically. You know, she's been back at school for a week and my heart is broken because she's not living down the hall anymore.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're not flopping on mom's bed every night when mom, you know, makes the mistake of sending us something on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But like, who locked themselves, her parents, her older brother, herself, locked themselves down in their house for 2 weeks so that they could come and eat lunch with us on a deck in June of 2020 when I didn't have an immune system and we hadn't seen people for months.
You 100%, they created a shield. Like, they created...
We were baking mail like it was polio.
Man.
We were doing what my grandparents did during polio, trying to keep me alive.
But they did it.
Yeah, because we had gotten the call 5 days in that because I didn't have an immune system, I wasn't going to get a ventilator. Five days into COVID really being a thing, 5 days into lockdown, we got those emails that I could not get it because I didn't have an immune system and I wasn't going to get a ventilator. And looking back, that was the right call. I had no immune system. Like, my body had no way of fighting off an infection like that. But I'm about to swear, Drew, I'm sorry, but
go for it.
Holy shit, that was such a weird 2 years.
I mean, that's one way to put it. But what a miraculous act of love and protection and care your family provided, and just that speaks volumes about, you know, who you were brought up around, and honestly the type of person you are too. Like, they saw that this needs to be protected, this needs to be saved, and this needs to continue and endure, and you have.
Yeah, like,
and credit to you too. Like you had a big job to pull as well there. I mean, you had to persevere. You had to hang in there. And do you think that knowing that everybody around you was doing the whole like, it's kind of like the penguins, right? Where they, they surround you and they protect you from, the elements in the outside, and you were right there in the middle, little fuzzy baby penguin that needed to be protected. Like, do you think that knowing that they were all doing that, do you think that that created an extra, like, do you think that knowing that gave you anything extra to summon, to fight with? Do you think that knowledge had an impact there?
I think definitely the first year, but I also think it helped that we had been told by my oncology team, like, she's going to be back at school in January. And come January, I was still sleeping 20 hours a day and I couldn't read. There was no way I was being back in school. But I was in a household with grandparents that were just so happy I was alive and so happy I was there. And were, happy to take me on adventures, happy to have hot chocolate dates, happy to have tea and cookies in the afternoon. Like, it was such an idyllic bubble of, yeah, the path has been destroyed, but we're going to be okay. That it, in a way, gave me time to figure it out, because I had to decide at one point, like, I'm done with wanting to go back to the program I was in at university.
Mm-hmm.
And when I made that decision, it was so much easier to be happy. When you're fighting to get back to where you are, like, I'm still not back to where I was 7 years ago.
Right.
If I still was fighting to get back there, I don't know that I'd be this happy now. But 4 or 3.5 years ago, I made the decision that I was okay with whatever this new thing was. That it wasn't perfect, but I was going to be okay.
That's that's got to be a hard truth to accept, but it sounds like it really turned you around.
I think it was hard, and I also think it became really easy the day the university turned off my email.
Mm.
The day that I got the notification my email account didn't exist anymore, it was like, okay, now we can move on.
At that point, you really only had one path in front of you. Like, visually, like, you could see, like, okay, this path is, I can kind of see where the path used to be, but now, you know what? No, it's this one.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. I want to just very quickly ask, like, hey, do you have a favorite movie or favorite TV series?
Oh.
Or both. I'd love both if you can, but I know that that's a big question, so
Big Bang Theory.
Really?
And What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
Are tied for my favorite TV series right now.
I need to see What We Do in the Shadows. Every clip I've seen looks magnificent. I'm like, why have I not seen that yet?
So with the brain injury, I really struggle to get into new TV shows or new movies. I have to know the storyline. So What We Do in the Shadows has been a challenge. I have to rewatch the episodes a couple times to follow the storyline, and I still can't tell you what has happened in the show. I can tell you, though, I've enjoyed the first 4.5 seasons.
Great. I mean, every time I see Matt Berry, he's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fantastic. Big Bang Theory, on the other hand, I watched religiously growing up and basically have the entire show memorized and utterly adore, to the extent that, like, growing up, Maya and I used to random number generate episodes, so we didn't have to pick an episode to watch. We'd random number generate for, like, the number of episodes that were out, and whatever the algorithm gave to us, that was the episode we watched.
I respect that. What about a movie? Anything come to mind?
I like Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And The Hobbit.
Yes.
Um, Mom had the director's cuts. My first introduction to Lord of the Rings was the director's cut of Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that I've really been?
I mean,
Anything old Disney.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So, um, you know, Mary Poppins with Julie
Oh,
Andrews, like old Disney
okay.
is
That it's got a magic charm to it.
it
Those
does.
older ones for sure.
And they've got
There's
such good soundtracks.
They do, and there's something about animation back then was such it really was magical. And when you think about Disney magic, I think that when anybody in those days would sit down and watch an animated movie, just the fact that they were watching an animated
Yeah.
movie was captivating in a way that it's no longer captivating. I mean, Disney still pumps out great flicks, but there's nothing inherently like novel about watching an animated film these days. Like Toy
Yeah.
Story was, because it was like, oh my gosh, 3D animation. But you see Mary Poppins, you're like, oh my god, he's dancing with penguins.
I know.
This is amazing. What?
Yeah.
What?
And the soundtrack is just so good.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
my little brother was born in 2004, and the 40th anniversary edition came out maybe it was the 60th. One of the special editions came out in 2004. And I got it in 2004 because we had a new baby in the house. And it was the perfect distraction for a 3.5-year-old. And I have pretty much every song in that movie memorized, and have had pretty much every song in that movie memorized since I was about 5.
Nice. I did that with Aladdin. I think I had all those songs memorized. That was the first movie I saw multiple times in the theater for sure. There's I could listen to Disney soundtracks all the time. They're
For
magical.
me, it's like any soundtrack. Like, I am such a musicals kid. I have an album on my phone that is every musical I've ever purchased on iTunes. And so it spans from like 11-year-old me with her first iPod Touch to 24-year-old me now. It is such a weird playlist when you press shuffle on it, but it brings me so much joy. And if anyone watches my streams, they'll frequently know it's what I'm listening to while I do anything on stream.
So, what is your favorite non-Disney musical?
If you'd asked me like 8 weeks ago, it was Beetlejuice.
Ah.
Currently, it is actually Death Becomes Her, because
Oh.
Megan Hilty is like the best person in the world.
I've
And
a lot of my friends are very big
I
musical
love the
theater nerds.
soundtrack of Death Becomes Her.
Yeah. I've only seen the
Like,
movie, but I know that the musical is very popular right now.
I am so in love with that musical. And like, I like Hamilton, I like In the Heights. They're all
Absolutely.
great, but there are so many musicals that don't get as much attention as those, that are also amazing and have fantastic soundtracks. And so, yes, Hamilton is in my crazy musical mashup, but I have so many other things part of it. Like, I think there's almost 40 musicals. Like, this playlist goes on for multiple days.
Have you ever heard of something called Repo?
Yes.
That's that one. Not a lot of people know about that one. Shannon and I love the soundtrack to that one. It's weird. It's bizarre. I can't even say that it's good, but
I don't know that I've listened to the entire soundtrack all the way through, but I have heard at least some parts of it.
it's a weird one. But yeah, for some reason we were hooked on that for a little while there. So I want to go back, and you touched on this, but we need to talk about our girl Sheila, because going back to your support unit, I know this much about, how your mom stepped up and just became super mom. But I would love to just kind of give you a bit of a platform to just, let folks know, what, what she has turned herself into for her girl.
uh you know, head of medication, head of, everything, the person that none of my medical receptionists really ever want to hear from. A first name basis with everyone at our pharmacy. First name basis with most of the people at our ER. We spent a lot of nights together in the hospital. She spent a lot of nights in very uncomfortable chairs. 3 days in an ER without a chair, where she was standing the entire time. Many ICU trips, many, days that should have been like, oh, we're going to the hospital for a couple hours. Actually, here we are 13 hours later because I need blood. If you can give blood and, you're not already giving blood, I am only alive because 70-something people gave units of blood. It doesn't take much of your time, but it is essential in keeping so many people alive. And it is the only reason I'm alive, and I will never be able to give blood because of the chemo I had and the cancer I had.
And I do want to make sure that, we can sprinkle around some things that folks can do in recognition of Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and because a lot of the time, apart from donating, folks may not know exactly what they can do to contribute to stuff like this. So right there, like you just gave a perfect example of something that almost everybody can do that can make a difference. You may not know where it's going, but in your case, like you just said, it can and does save lives.
Yeah. And I talked about it in my video that I did on the 3rd. Like, I showed my beads of courage, which are here. I showed a stretch of 24 hours where I think I had 13 or 14 units of blood in 24 hours. That is the entirety of a volume of a human being. My entire blood volume, a little bit more, because I'm not particularly tall, was replaced.
You're taller than I expected you to be, actually.
You always see me in heels.
Oh, well, maybe that's it.
I'm almost always wearing heels at a pen show, Drew. Because also I shrunk 2 inches on chemo.
Oh my goodness!
So
what were you originally, like 5'7"?
Yes, actually, I was originally 5'7". So if I wear heels, I'm back to being like 5'6.5".
Well, still, my wife's 5'2", so that's tall to me. So and y'all had to relocate, right? So that was a big.
So it's complicated, because partway through COVID, Grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 87. So it was late onset Alzheimer's. But we were already still splitting our time here because, again, I didn't have a very robust immune system and my brother was in high school.
Now, splitting your time, you mean at your grandparents' place?
At my grandparents and in the city. And so we kept splitting our time because they wanted to stay at home.
Understandable.
And they had helped tremendously. And so we stayed here and we'd switch off with other family members. And, he died a couple 100 meters from his house that he'd lived in for 4.5 decades. With all of his family having seen him in the lead up to his death, with a wife that he'd been married to for 64 years. God. And in the lead up on the Friday before he was admitted to hospital, all he was concerned about was Grandma. And what was she gonna do? And I made a promise that I stuck to, which was I would be her date whatever she wanted to attend. And so I've attended more funerals and more church services and more 90th and 80th birthday parties and more ag meetings than I ever thought I'd attend. But they were married for 64 years.
Yeah.
And all he cared about, he was admitted to hospital on the Sunday. And the Friday night, when we were in the living room, all he cared about was her.
It's such an amazing thing to be able to have, loss is always insanely difficult to deal with, especially for someone you love so much. But you, with this promise, this blueprint, it has got to be such an amazing thing to say, I'm going to do this for him. This is how I'm going to take action in both my grief and my respect and my honoring of his memory. And that also has got to be such incredible fuel for life for your grandmother as well, because there's a void after he's gone, and no one's ever going to replace that void. But seeing someone like you, like a granddaughter who has herself persevered through immense hardship, step up and say, you know what, I'm still here. Through miraculous events, I'm still here, and I'm going to do this for you because this is what I promised him. Like that's incredible. And it's incredible.
And I would say, like, as a family, we do an incredibly good job. Like, she got up to the lake this year for 9 weeks. Mom and I went up. My brother got on the plane with her. They flew up. We met them. We picked them up. We opened the cottage with an 88-year-old. We left. We switched. We hugged relatives at an airport. We got on the plane they came off of. They drove up to the cabin. They left. My aunt went up, who was there for a month. Then my cousin and her parents went up and were there for a week and a half, and they closed the cottage with Grandma and then drove home. And then, she has now spent 9 weeks up there, turned 89 up there, and left a half-finished 2,500-piece puzzle. She's got plans. Her plans involve wanting to go back next summer.
Heck yeah.
And the fact that she was negotiating with Mom, like 4 days before they were leaving the lake, that she wanted to stay, and we were going, we don't have the people for this. Because the reality is, like, we want to get her to everything.
Oh, sure.
Because she gets to do whatever she wants to do. Like,
yeah, and she's got a lot of life left, I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Like, if she, I spent, what was it, Wednesday last week, wandering around a fish farm and learning about fish. And the thing is, do I know enough about fish to go to an Ontario agricultural meeting and, wander around a fish farm? Not really, but the other answer is I can be just as comfortable in that setting as I am on the show Florida Pen Show.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know. And, just for the record, Alexandra, her grandparents have a farm, like a large working farm.
Grandma cash crops because she's 89.
Yeah, but so it's a family thing. Like it's ingrained in everybody's, like even the folks in your family who did not actually operate it have tangential knowledge, and it's just kind of a very casual thing. So, you and I have talked gardening before. Like you garden on a different level than I do, but it's definitely a passion.
Yeah, I think we've got something like 49 or 50 tomato plants in this year. It's like the high 40s, the low 50s.
That's nuts. So this you talking about like jumping into this fish identification, whatever. this brings me to question number 6, which I had written down in no particular order, but I want to talk about your tenacity, because you are like I essentially I want to know, have you always been this way, or is this something that you summoned and developed through simply like fighting to survive for over the years? I wrote this down. So forgive my wording here. I literally wrote, I don't want to equate your physical body to a car, but it's like someone put a race car engine into a vehicle that's not supposed to have a race car engine in it. So, like, and I wrote down, I'm certain that I would fall apart if I had this engine in me. So I want to know, like, how, why?
Okay. So the answer is both.
Okay.
To make a very complicated story very short, I ended up switching school boards for high school. I went to an all-girls Catholic school. I was one of very few non-Catholic girls there, had been raised Christian, but been raised in a Christian denomination that had a very, yes, the Bible is a thing, but we don't take the Bible literally view of the Bible. And so spent a lot of high school being shunned by classmates for lengthy periods of time. Well, but at the same time, it was some of like the best experiences of my life, because I was at a school for math and science, learning crazy things, and getting to participate in some amazing things. And by the time I was in grade 12, there was an Ontario Supreme Court decision that meant I didn't have to take religion in school anymore. So I didn't take religion in school anymore. Grade 12 was great. And really, it was only grade 10 that was really problematic when it came to religion. Grade 9 was good. Grade 10 was meh. Grade 11, I just like ranted to mom at home. I learned my lesson in grade 10. But the motto of the school was all in Latin, and where there is honor, there I will be. And so this was ingrained into us starting in grade 9. When you go to a Catholic school, the mottos are still a pretty big deal. Like, they are embroidered onto every shirt, they are on every pin, they are on pretty much every piece of paperwork you get has the school motto on it. And so for years you were staring at this phrase in Latin, and it's hard to not take that to heart. Like,
say it again.
Where there is honor, there I will be.
Huh.
So find the places that are honorable and make them your own.
I like that.
I also grew up with a grandfather whose, for lack of a better word, catchphrase was, "The Lord hates a coward." Which is nowhere in the Bible. And there's other stuff that comes before it, but it's "The Lord hates a coward." And a whole bunch of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants are listening to this and going, yeah, like, we grew up hearing something similar, because pretty much every white Anglo-Saxon Protestant has heard something similar growing up. But in our household with Grandpa, it was used in any situation. Frequently when he was playing euchre.
When he was playing what?
Euchre, the card game.
Oh, okay.
It's a card game. It's like canasta. It's
okay.
Like bridge. I don't play euchre, I play canasta, because Grandma needed a canasta partner when I was 7. So I play canasta, Daniel plays euchre, Maya plays both.
Okay.
My grandparents like spread out the grandchildren who could play the card game so that they always had enough for a game.
That's funny. Do you know anybody else your age who knows canasta and bridge?
Maya.
Good old Maya.
and Daniel, who also had to learn
Right.
them. But like, this was, to us, this was normal. Like, we get together for a family dinner. All, like, my cousins are here as well, and there is always a canasta game. And this has been a thing since I was 8. That's when I first noticed it, because that's when I was like, knew the rules and could play.
So you being your grandmother's dance partner is nothing new, really.
No, she won't admit it, but there was one day that she made Mom sign me out of school because she needed me to play with her canasta group.
Wow. Okay.
And I got to play with, all the retirees in their 70s at
Nice.
the age of 10 and won every hand and was never invited back.
What? Oh no, she brought in a ringer. Oh, sneaky grandma.
Yeah. So it was the Lord hates a coward. So frequently he would say this when he had a hand that could win him a game, but there is potential for there to be another hand that could win out in play. So it would generally be if he had the second highest hand in the game. Is the Lord hates a coward, and then he'd lay his hand, including doing this 2 weeks before he died in a euchre game. Like when he had late onset Alzheimer's, but we describe it as being a simpler version of himself. Like he would still play cards really well. And he still won at euchre 2 weeks before he died. Preceded by the Lord hates a coward, and so it was always there.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer just made it more apparent, and I would say removed the fear element. There is very little fear in my life. Because I've survived stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
So what if this thing should be scary? Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, why should I be afraid of this thing? And I would say that's my approach to life. Most of the time it's like, why should I be afraid of this thing? And that doesn't mean I'm not nervous. My philosophy is also like, if there isn't a little bit of nervous anxiety about something, I need to reevaluate why I'm doing it. Because if I'm that comfortable with the situation, maybe something needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And so would you say the same thing about like that? That definitely speaks to your determination and your work ethic. But there are also times where your ethic surpasses your physical capacity, and the physical capacity of someone who did not survive stage 4 cancer, I might add. Like I just observing you makes me exhausted sometimes. Like, has that always been a thing, or did you inherit that from your mom or your grandfather or somewhere? Because your video posting schedule, even like you'll film like 10, 20 questions in an evening. Like, why? That's crazy.
The thing is, like, if I'm there, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's so much easier said than done.
But so are so many other things.
You're right.
Like, it's so much easier to not spend the hour organizing my pill case. It's so much easier to not spend the 30 to 40 minutes twice a week rolling out my leg.
Yeah. Wait, rolling out your leg?
With a foam roller or a spiky ball. Like, because...
Here I am, I'm just nodding like, yeah, rolling out your leg. Yeah. Hang on, wait.
Yeah, no, because like on top of the bone being screwed up, the muscles and the nerves are screwed up. And so the muscles will totally contract, and then I won't be able to move my toes. And so there's so much maintenance that goes into taking care of your body when you've had stage 4 cancer. Like my head turns this far on this side and turns all the way on this side because the muscles are so screwed up because of this shoulder. This shoulder is a different height than this shoulder, as you can see on camera. Like they're two different heights, which has screwed up my back, which screws with all my muscles. It's so much easier to not do all maintenance stuff that if I'm it's like the same philosophy that I take to a pen show. Like yes, it would be so much easier to like just go to bed and collapse after a day on the show floor because I am exhausted.
Yeah.
I am not gonna lie, I struggle at a pen show. Pen shows are day 4 at a pen show. I am not doing well. You saw me day 4 at DC. I was not doing particularly well.
No, no one is. No one. Like it's especially
Yeah.
for, a group of, largely introverts, like it takes a lot of just even emotional energy out of you, and that can leave you
Yeah.
exhausted. The fact that you are even still standing is a miracle.
I would say my bigger issue is my fuse tends to get shorter and my filter tends to disappear, which you witnessed at DC. It was
Excellent.
like I don't have the ability to explain to people everything, and so I'm just going to bluntly say stuff, which doesn't really work super well when you're a public figure at a pen show or working with a brand at a pen show. It's like
Well, I will also say that having had a good amount of conversations with your mom, you also come by a bit of the uh hmm, she's got some spice to her. So
I would say that has increased since cancer as well.
really, with
Um,
Sheila. Nice.
it's it's a sort of a full family thing where like um and to the extent like I think in some ways like it's affected my cousins too. Like everyone reacts to it differently and you just sort of go, cool, we still have to get on with life and nobody else understands this. And so we're
hmm
just going to keep going.
hmm
But we are going to have like really dark senses of humor and have these really, as you call them, spicy moments
Yeah.
uh, where, people just sort of have to deal with it.
I love it, and I told your mom she reminds me of my aunts because I don't know, but I think that I have family members very similar, so I find it very comforting, honestly. My family is very similar. Um, let's go back to a boring question here. Um, what's your go-to comfort music genre when you need to just like chill, relax? I guess is it old school musicals? Do you think, or do you have another like this is going to put me at ease sort of thing to listen to?
I would actually say nothing.
Really? Yeah.
If
Okay.
if I really need to chill out my brain, I am a big fan of 30 decibel earplugs from Loop, which remove 30 decibels of noise, and I will stick those in, and the world just gets quieter, and it's
Hmm.
great.
That is a great answer.
I want if I'm in that state that I just need to like zen out my brain and calm down, I want to remove as much stimulation as I can. And so I'm going to start with removing the easiest thing for me, which is noise.
Yeah. And you can do that. You think mentally you can create that clear space in your head. That's cool. Was that something you had to focus on learning how to do? Because I feel like I struggle with that.
Uh I I say it's something the brain injury made easier because I have no ability to uh if if somebody says draw a pumpkin, I have to actually look up what a pumpkin is because I know that a pumpkin is orange, but I can't actually see what a pumpkin looks like. And I didn't realize that had disappeared until probably 2.5 years after chemo ended. It
Hmm.
was like, oh, normal people can like see what a leaf looks like in their heads. Because the thing is, a lot of people who have this chemotherapy are little kids who don't know, who have no baseline for what their brain was like. I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what my brain was like.
Yeah.
I know, like, exactly. And so for my family, I had a total personality shift. And for me, it was like learning how to operate in a head that didn't feel like mine.
Right. It's like driving a different vehicle.
Except worse than that because you know what it's driving a different vehicle, except the vehicle you're in should be yours, but nothing is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
There's
empty.
there's no analogy that can work
No.
that's
Um,
literally incomprehensible to someone like me.
yeah, it was that was honestly one of the most difficult parts because your brain stops feeling like your brain. Because I was a math and science kid. I knew my brain so incredibly well. And suddenly, I didn't know my brain anymore. And when you stop knowing how your brain works, like I could answer Jeopardy questions. Grandma and Grandpa religiously watched Jeopardy. Grandma still does. I could answer Jeopardy questions. We used to keep track of how many Jeopardy questions I could answer. Because I could answer them, but I couldn't tell you what the question was, and I couldn't tell you how I figured out that information.
So it's still there.
Because the pathways are gone.
Interesting. But yet...
Yeah.
But you can still draw from that knowledge base.
But the pathways that connected it are gone. And so you're rebuilding all your pathways in your brain.
Interesting. So are there times where you that you're shocked that you know something you didn't recall that you knew?
I would say less so now.
Okay.
Like we're 6 years in. Almost 6 years in. Yeah, no, 6 years in. It was 6 years in May I was diagnosed. And 6 years the end of September, my central line was pulled out. It's less shocking now. It's less shocking to me now when mom asks me a question in French and I answer back in English. Because I was fluent in French. I still can't respond to questions in French, but I can now process the question in French and answer in English, but 9 out of 10 times, can't tell you what she said. But I have the ability to answer the question.
Okay, 2 things. Number 1, I just asked you about some relaxation music, and then, here we are. 2, I'm really trying to wrap my head around this 6 years thing. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of time, Alexandra, for someone to be diagnosed with stage 4 cancer to have to relearn how to talk, think, walk, move, write, and then all of a sudden in that 6 years be having a successful YouTube channel, traveling intercontinentally, kind of, well, not intercontinental, still in North America, but still flying to several pen shows in a year, doing on-site interviews. Like, whoa. 6 years is not a long... If I described to you all of those events from diagnosis to now and plotted all of those events and milestones on a timeline and showed them to an oncologist, I'm guessing, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm guessing they would be like, holy damn, that's something, right? Am I wrong?
So my oncology team frequently talks about, like, everything that could have gone wrong other than me dying is what went wrong.
And how the heck are you still here doing so amazingly well? I mean, it looks like you are. I don't know. Maybe I'm just...
like, I had a 2-hour nap. I'm doing great, Drew. I had a 2-hour nap today. But that's the thing people don't see. Like, I don't work I don't work because I still blow a pupil if I think too hard. And
wait, are you being literal?
Yeah, no, I'm being literal. Like, one of my pupils will, like, blow like I've had a stroke if I think too hard. Like, I went to see Taylor Swift last year against all medical advice from my team and then spent a week in bed with a blown pupil because flashing lights and loud noise.
I've never even heard of a blown pupil.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with your glasses?
No, so I have what is described as a severe concussion caused by chemotherapy. So basically, I have, like, what they see in, like, the worst of sports injuries, the worst of, like, people, like, getting a really, really severe concussion, except I got mine from a chemotherapy drug, which is known to cause some neurological issues. And that's just life in pediatric cancer research, unfortunately. Is that we use drugs that are known to cause brain damage because most of the time they're being given to small children who have time to rebuild their neurological pathways. And that's life. And so I have a neurologist who purely treats brain injuries from drug use. But when my team was trying to find somebody that would take me on, he decided that I was close enough, even though mine was caused by chemotherapy. And so I see a neurologist that purely treats people who ended up with brain injuries from drug use. And so think too hard, blow a pupil. I nap pretty much every day. And sure. I, don't work a normal job. I do this YouTube thing, and it's a very expensive hobby. And luckily now I have brands that are willing to sponsor my travel to pen shows, and that lets me keep going to pen shows.
I mean, the fact that you can summon enough energy to get that done is insanely miraculous. And let's touch on how you rebuilt your motor skills, because there was a time where you couldn't do much of anything, right?
No. So if people go all the way back on Instagram to the very beginning of Instagram, some of the videos are still up because I had to relearn how to write from scratch. Like, relearn how to write my name, relearn how to hold a pencil, because I lost most of the nerve endings in my fingertips from chemo. And so I relearned how to letter with I relearned how to write with a brush pen, which is not how I'd recommend anyone relearn how to write. But it was highly entertaining for me, who was doing that at 19 and was not happy to be doing that at 19. And in turn, it's made using flex pens way easier because, I learned how to write with a brush pen.
And then speech was a thing too, right?
So yeah, I've had a couple speech language pathologists, SLPs over the year. And I still have, every once in a while, I'll have a little bit of a lisp, purely because this section of nerve is gone and that lip doesn't move super well. And on top of that, I have aphasia, which means randomly my body will forget how to talk, which is just as much fun as it sounds. And this can last anywhere from a couple minutes to tops 2 or 3 hours for me. We found though that sugar helps. So if you see me at a pen show, I'm always carrying around sugar. And that's for one of two reasons. Sugar, we found, also helps with the brain injury. The easiest way to keep me from getting a headache or to calm down a headache is sugar. And then with the aphasia, the easiest way for me to come out of an episode is a whole bunch of sugar. And so, not medically recommended advice from my team, but I wander around with sugar all the time on the show floor and am constantly just snacking on a little bit of sugar. And in turn, I have so far been fine at pen shows with not dealing with any episodes of not being able to talk, because honestly, I'd say that's one of the most frustrating symptoms or side effects, because I never know when it's going to happen and it hits out of nowhere.
So when that does happen, do you just kind of shut your mouth and be like, okay, I know what's going on, I just got to wait until it passes?
No, because oftentimes I won't realize at first. My mouth will still be moving and there'll be no sound coming out. And so it takes a minute for my brain to realize, oh, you're not making sound. And the issue is, when I'm here, people know that that's going to happen potentially.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And don't look at me like I'm crazy when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And don't freak out when that happens. The issue is when it happens around new people freak out. And then the freaking out makes me more anxious, which makes it harder to come out of an episode. And so I just eat sugar at a pen show.
So what's your go-to pocket sugar? Because I imagine it's not going to be chocolate, because you got to carry it around all the time. It's got to be easily accessible. So
I like that you said it's not chocolate.
It can't be. It's not. That wouldn't be practical, right?
Have you seen me at a pen show recently, Drew?
Is it chocolate?
I carried chocolate covered pretzels like they were a clutch at DC.
Oh, you do. You do. Okay. Well, those
I
don't
do.
go in the pocket, right?
No. So
Okay.
I
To me, I'm just
basically-
thinking. See, I don't have a purse with me
No.
all the time, so I'm
No,
I'm only
so-
thinking pocket.
No, because women's outfits, no pockets. So I have to turn them into an accessory.
So you've got a bag.
So it's no, like I just carried around a bag of chocolate covered pretzels on the show floor underneath my arm.
You don't have like a bag of stuff with you all the time, like with all the stuff you have going on. You don't have like.
I do, but I leave
Okay.
it behind. I leave it behind somebody's booth.
Oh, okay, but then the pretzels come with you.
But the pretzels come with me.
Priorities.
Priorities. The pretzels come with me, and by Sunday we had moved on to mini Trader Joe's peanut butter cups, which were also coming with me.
I did see those because the whole bottom quadrant had melted because you left them.
I left them on my heated blanket.
That was it. Yeah.
So, that's the other thing. Is like,
and you were still going to town on them too, though.
No. Their Trader Joe's mini peanut butter cups are one of my joys in life. And I have already Google Mapsed how far it is from the Empire Pen Show Hotel to the nearest Trader Joe's. It is too far for me to walk, and I am so sad.
Nice. And let's not forget the deformed animal crackers, cookies, whatever.
They're so good, though.
I'm
so sad. I'm so sad. They look so weird, but
you know
so
what?
tasty.
That's part of their charm. I know. I kind of don't want them to change now.
Did I send you?
Yeah, yeah. We were.
No, I found there's one in the bottom that's like the sheet that they punched it out of that they didn't come all apart, and I'm like, oh, this is why they're all such a weird shape.
So they're just phoning it in. They just do not. They're not committing to their animal cookie molds.
Not
Shame.
at all. They're
Oh my
being
God.
punched out of a single sheet, but there's no waste in how they've created them.
So let me ask you this. You talked about how, like, hey, you know, the YouTube thing is my jam now. It's what I do.
Yeah.
Luckily, you know, it's so far sustainable. Do you have a
quasi-sustainable?
Yeah, you know, it's going. You're not going downhill. Do you have a long-term vision for what you would like to be doing in the stationery / writing industry community long-term?
Goals are such a weird thing. Like, I think if you told me a year ago when I was just starting to film 20 questions virtually, a year later you will be editing episode 100, I would have gone, what do you mean? What do you mean I'll be editing episode 100? And what do you mean one of the episodes will have approaching 15,000 views? Like, that's crazy. I've been lucky in the fact that I've sort of been allowed to go with the flow of things. I get to consult with brands when they need somebody in the influencer space to consult. I get to write for Goldspot when Tom has blog posts to write. I, get to do things on other people's channels like Hemingway's or over on Marina's channel. And I sort of just figure it out as I go.
So, like, yeah, obviously a year ago you didn't know any of that, but now knowing all that you've done in the past 365 days, you could, stand to assess a little bit of the potential future. Like,
yeah,
and knowing, like, I've seen your tenacity. Like, I know that you're not going to just all of a sudden slow down. I don't know if you could if you wanted to.
Honestly, I don't know that I could if I wanted to. Like, I gave up Saturday uploads back in February because I hated feeling like I was stuck checking YouTube analytics on the weekend.
Oh, don't ignore analytics.
I know.
Wow.
But I didn't like the feeling of like I was having to check analytics, I was having to read comments or get back to people's questions. I hated that on the weekend.
Good.
I'm lucky in what I do that I get to have a weekend most of the time where I work a half day Friday, I take Saturday off, and I start working Sunday afternoons because I like being in a place Sunday night where I know what I'm walking into Monday morning. And
So what
any
you're describing is kind of, it's not unlike a full-time remote gig, Alexandra.
basically I work a full-time remote gig, except it's, pretty much unpaid.
Right. So what I guess I'm getting at is, do you ever see yourself actually being employed full time as a remote person that has a job in the pen industry?
I would love to be, but it would have so I have had job offers.
I'm not
The
surprised.
the issue is any of the job offers I haven't been flexible on work hours.
Mm.
And if I do something like blow a pupil, or if, you know, I, wake up and half my face is numb, I need to be able to like have a nap and take meds and wait for meds to kick in, so that
Yeah.
like I need flexibility in my schedule, and any of the offers I've had haven't been flexible.
Huh. Are they not aware of
Um
that? Because I feel like that's kind of like, if they know you, there's kind of like, it's a package deal.
Yeah, like that seems to be the problem, is that
Huh.
like they know me as a creator, but that's the only thing they've paid attention to.
Well, here's the problem. You're deceptively productive, lady. That's it's your fault. No,
I,
I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
yeah, no, I think that's part of my issue. Like, and people think it's just me. And we've talked about Maya. Maya is what I don't know what title Maya is going to take someday. Um, but family members joke Maya is my personal assistant or executive producer. uh, Maya is, sometimes the person writing descriptions for videos
Really?
or
I didn't know she
organizing.
helped with your stuff. I mean, I knew she was like, your other half, BFF, whatever, but like I didn't know that she actually took a role in your content
No,
creation.
no, Maya is uh, one of the reasons like shorts are as organized as they are. Or stuff
All
is
right,
logged on
Maya.
Fountain Pen Companion, is because I got really annoyed at it and gave up, and Maya went, I'm gonna figure this thing out, and so logged all my inks and then started to log my pens. um, Maya has organized the 1,000 color watercolor swatch book before. Like, she is as much a part of this team as mom is in some ways, but you will never see Maya's never been on camera, other than her hands once. She has no interest, other than the fact that now she actually really likes pens and has a growing pen collection based off of borrowing whatever I have received from brands that I am putting away after using in a video.
That's awesome.
Um,
So another fun question here. Do you have a top 20 questions moments or top 3 guests? Like, what are the moments that I mean, you just said you've done 100 of these now. Like, what are the moments that stick out the most with you? And of course, I will be including the link to Alexandra's channel in the description below if you want to check out her stuff. It's fantastic.
Mario Campa during the first
Ah,
episode, because that was day 2 at Chicago, and I'd been trying to get guests, and he was the first person to say yes because I was an unknown in the industry, and
good
he
on you,
was willing to
Mario.
say yes, and that's what started it all.
Definitely, that's got to be top 3.
I actually have to look at the guest list. Sorry, there have been so many episodes that
Yeah.
I'm like, who?
Yeah, of course, this is me asking you to recall something very difficult after you just told me that you have trouble recalling certain things. Could you also
That's
draw a
fine.
pumpkin for me, please?
Sure, give me like 20 minutes. Hemingway, because
Oh yeah.
I didn't expect an email back. I had maybe 1,000 subscribers, and I didn't expect an email back. And he said yes. When a lot of people said no,
Mm-hmm.
I was getting a lot of no's, and
Mm-hmm.
Hemingway said yes.
Good on you,
Um,
mate.
yeah, good on you.
Good old
Um,
Hemingway.
See, yours is fabulously fun. It feels like a cop out to say yours though, because
Nah, yeah,
yours is
no.
also like the
Don't
first
don't
one that
don't
got
don't say me.
like nearly 1,000 likes. And
Yeah.
like that was such a weird thing for a video to do on my channel. Uh
What's a do you have a white whale guest that we can guilt into jumping in right now? Just throw it out there. Somebody that you want to get. You've probably gotten everybody, right?
I've got the thing is I'm like starting to run out of guests.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And at a pen show, it's really easy to get guests because I'm seeing people that don't have a social media presence.
Hmm.
Um, it's not out yet. People are gonna have to wait until like the middle of October. It is, or early November. I forget when it's scheduled for. It's genuinely one of the most fun episodes I've ever filmed.
Oh, teaser. Okay. Well, we don't need to get into it, but that's awesome.
I'm happy to release who the name is.
If you
Uh,
want to.
Paul Arano from the Black Pen Society.
I don't believe if I have met Paul, I haven't equated his name to the person I've met, which happens a lot with me at pen shows. I'm
So
like, I'll meet somebody, I'll know somebody, then later I'll find out, oh, you're that name. I didn't know you were the same person.
he's the Grand Pumbaa of the Black Pen
Oh,
Society.
I know exactly. Yes, you
Yeah.
sat with him in the hallway of DC.
I sat with him in the hallway
Yes.
of DC.
See, that's exactly it. I know him. I didn't know his name was Paul. Yes.
His name is Paul Arano. He
Yeah,
runs
he's part of the DC pen crew. I've seen him several times. Yeah.
He runs a great fountain pen magazine that is only available if you mail him a check. Like, but I've got an issue of it. It's fantastic. I would describe him as being part of the old guard of the pen world, but one of the most amazing members as part of the old guard. And he spends several minutes explaining to me why the Black Pen Society is not a cult. It's a Ponzi scheme.
That's marvelous.
And it's a great time.
Yeah,
and
I feel like he had
so
the hat when he was sitting
He
down
did.
with you too. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. That'll be something to look forward to. All right, you heard it here first, folks. A little teaser for you. The Grand Poobah himself guesting
Yeah,
with.
and I would say favorite moment is when all of the various nib grinders at Chicago this year, so 2025, wore Kirk Spears kimono. And very
nice.
few people have caught that Kirk's kimono is passed through the nib grinders, and also Kirk's book of notes is passed through the nib grinders because they thought it was funny.
Kirk's starting to become known for wearing some pretty audacious, like post-show outfits.
I still love the bathrobe look of them last year at San Francisco when all the nib grinders showed up on Sunday morning in bathrobes to do nibs. That is like top tier move.
I want to say that this year I saw him in a bathrobe again, and then he had a hot pink jumpsuit at San Francisco, I believe. Yeah. And he just like casually strolls up, not making a big deal, and you're just like, "Oh, hey, Kirk! Oh my God!" You know, you have to do like a double take. He's like, "Yeah, look, I'm doing this now."
Yeah, it was the kimono with the custom ground Mont Blanc in the pocket, and I was like, "Yeah, this is just the look."
Sharp.
Apparently.
Sharp. Here's another one. When you speak to, I'm assuming you have spoken to other cancer survivors from America. What is the biggest difference that you've noticed between, folks that have endured this in Canada versus folks that have endured this in the US?
So I would say that and friends and I have talked about this, the pediatric cancer world is actually pretty small. In the sense that most of us know each other, or at least know of each other.
Interesting.
So
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Like one of the girls I'm talking to on my channel this month is in the UK. Almost everyone in the pediatric cancer world who is a young adult knows Ellie, and like it's not a big community because pediatric cancer is common, but it's rare still. And the 5-year survival rate for pediatric cancer isn't great. So if you've made it to adulthood and are an adult, you've survived that 5-year mark. And so most of us know at least of each other. Like if somebody brings up a name at an event, you're like, oh, I know them through X person. And so I would say the biggest differences are mostly in the sense that, like, I was treated in an adult hospital. I was
Mm-hmm.
18. There's a whole laundry list of reasons why that happened. Most pediatric cancer patients in the States who are 18 still get treated at children's hospitals because they tend to go up to 21 for pediatric cancer cases. And there's new research out from the UK that says actually we should be increasing that to 26.
Oh, wow.
Because the side effects you're seeing in brains that aren't fully developed are the same as you're seeing in 5 and 6-year-olds, and we can't be looking for the symptoms you're seeing in a 70-year-old in a 18-year-old, which is the whole reason my situation happened, is that they were looking for the wrong symptoms of side effects. So I would say that's the biggest difference, is like the science is starting to change. We're starting to talk about pediatric cancer in a different way. Like, what is the cutoff? Most of the time when you look at stats for pediatric cancer, the cutoff is 15. Most of the time when you look at stats for adult cancer, it starts at 21. So there's this awkward bubble that no one talks about.
Right. What happens after 15 and before 21?
Exactly.
Huh. So what is the so the cutoff in Canada is what right now?
It depends on your hospital. It depends on your GP. It
Oh,
depends
really?
on.
Oh, okay.
So it's.
Oh,
I would
wow.
say it's
Okay.
an ever-moving target for the science.
Yikes.
And things have changed since I was diagnosed.
I mean, I guess that's the way science should be, right? Science is a moving
Yeah.
target. It's
Like-
constant. I mean, the way it should be is constantly evaluated, constantly questioned, constantly adapting. I mean, that's why it's the pursuit, of it all. It's the study.
Yeah, like I want the science to change.
Absolutely. All
Because
science should change.
There were things 6 years ago that shouldn't have happened, and my team has learned from that, and things have changed because of that. And that is one of the reasons that 5.5 years on, I am still followed by an oncologist, because they are still learning things from my case. Science has to change, science has to evolve.
Absolutely. Speaking of, I mean, have you ever been asked to speak at an event on this?
In a complicated sense, yes. So there have been discussions. The discussions have never turned into anything. And I'm very clear about what events I will talk at and what organizations I will be part of. I have a list. Mom and Dad are very clear on what's on my list, because there are things that I want nothing to do with, just because of everything. And then there are things that I'm like, yeah, I will talk about that. And so actually one of my therapy centers, I have been their poster child descriptor for things for like 5 years. When the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation came and filmed something there, they talked to me. Like, there are people that I'm totally willing to talk with, and then there are people that I'm like, actually, no. Because boundaries.
Yeah. And where there is honor, right?
And and it's not even that. It's just like there were a lot of things that went really badly in my case. And unless something fundamentally changes, I'm never going to stand up for my hospital as a poster child for my hospital. It's never going to happen. But there are organizations that do amazing work that I'm like, cool, yeah, you can talk about my cancer all you want. Here, you want more information? Here you go.
Understandable. Have you ever thought about, and I'm sure this is a repetitive question, I'm sorry, have you ever thought about publishing anything?
Not really.
No.
Like
What,
friends and I joke that we could there's a joke in the pediatric cancer world that it is the shittiest club to be a part of.
I was thinking that exact same thing when you were describing these events in the small community. I'm like, what sort of like get together would that be? I mean, on one
Oh,
hand, you
because
can celebrate the amazing endurance that you all have together, but also it's like it's
Drew,
rough.
there are pediatric oncology camps. Our parents send us to summer camp together, and it's the best because everyone there has had a central line, everyone there has had chemo, everyone there has been the bald kid, and there's a full set of medical staff. Like, I ran around summer camp with a central line dangling out of my arm, bald, and had my central line dressing changed 7 times in 8 days because I kept jumping in the lake, and eventually the nurses decided to stop covering it and just went swimming with me and then changed my dressing while we were all in our bathing suits because you're still a kid and you want to go to summer camp. And this camp exists in the hospital and Sick Kids in Toronto. They have a clubhouse. They hold daily events. They have a clubhouse in downtown Toronto where I spent a whole lot of time going through treatment. They've got 2 properties, and there are camps in the States that do the same thing. And I got to turn 19 at camp and get to go back as an adult. And, you know, it is the darkest humor in the world when we're all together because we are in our 20s and some of our friends have died from relapses or secondary cancers caused by their chemotherapy. But for, 48 hours, we are surrounded by a group of people that get everything we're saying. And there are nurses to manage our meds. For 48 hours, we get to hand over control of something that we have to control every day of our lives. There is no sleeping in. Mom and I have alarms set on our phones. You don't get to miss a dose of meds. I take 27 pills a day as long as there is nothing going on. That is baseline. And so getting to go to camp, getting to hand that control over to somebody else and go, for 48 hours, this isn't my problem. You're going to come find me when I need meds. And like, I had to warn Grandma the first time we took her to camp for a weekend event because the dark humor coming out of her 20-year-old granddaughter's mouth is one thing. That dark humor coming out of a 6-year-old who's wandering around with their central line and going, I want to jump in the lake, is another thing. Because we all get it and every kid there gets it. And it costs $2,500 a week to send a kid to camp. And every year they raise millions to send kids to camp so that we get to feel normal and so that bereaved siblings get to go up for a week and spend a week with other siblings who get what they're feeling.
So they have this. It's not just for survivors and patients; it's also for the families who.
They run family camps. They run family programming. They
Oh,
run programming in hospital. They run bereaved sibling camps. They run programming all year round. They run when I had my central line pulled and then had about 3 months until my birthday, I was going to basically a program a week with my friends where, we'd spend the day at an aquarium, we'd go to one of the workshops they run for the schools. The Paralympic Canada team came in for a day and did sledge hockey. and like you are spending time with people that get it. And that was just teen programming. They are running programming for kids under 3. They are running day camps at their downtown site, and they are doing this not just in Canada. There are camps all over the states that are doing this too, and helping to provide these respite services for families where their kids can go to camp and still be safe.
If that, I mean, if that's not a cause worth donating to, I don't know what is.
There's there's always a Team Alexandra. Dad has now run it for 5 years. And it is open for US and Canada. It's the Mother's Day long weekend every year. And it's
So
a
wait,
5K. And it's their biggest fundraiser of the year, is a 5K run. And you can enter US and Canada, and there's always a Team Alexandra.
that's really cool.
It's a great way to spend Mother's Day. They close off the city of Toronto, and people run up University Avenue.
That's really cool. Jeez. Could you send me a link that I could at least post in the description to donate to these camps? That would be something amazing.
I will send you one for the camp I attended, and I will send you one where it lists what everyone's local camp is.
That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. If I can, forward, the few viewers I have over to that, that'd be fantastic. As we approach the hour and a half mark, I would love to just allow you the opportunity to soapbox for a little bit and just platform anything that you feel is important or needs to be said for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, or anything that you think that you would just like folks to know about you that they may not know about you, or just anything you want to say.
Beads of Courage is an amazing charity that needs way more funding than it gets. Mine are behind me. I have about 35 feet.
What does the length of bead signify?
You get one for every procedure, test, overnight in the hospital. There is a bead for everything. Every sort of traumatic thing you experience, you get a bead for. They do them for cancer patients, long-term illness patients. You'll see heart transplant patients that have them, and babies in the most centers that have a NICU have them. And it gives NICU siblings a way to explain to people what their little sibling is going through, and a way to process. And in my case, it is a great explainer for, the summer. I was 18. They desperately need funding. They are one of the best mental health things when it comes to pediatric cancer and other illnesses, because there's no way to explain it. It becomes far more explainable, though, when you can hold up a section and go, here's every therapy appointment, and it's 200 and something little rainbow square beads, and every one of those beads is a therapy session where you were having occupational therapy and speech language pathology and physiotherapy and learning all those skills again. I literally have hundreds of therapy beads, because this doesn't happen without a whole bunch of therapy. If you want to donate for research, anywhere but St. Jude's. And I know that sounds odd, but they have so much money that could be spent on research, and instead are holding on to $8 billion. Your local children's hospital probably needs the funding way more, especially if they have a research department. Local children's hospitals are coming up with Hail Mary pediatric cancer treatments all the time. And little hospitals in the middle of nowhere are doing that. I have so many friends that have been Canadian friends that have been treated at small children's hospitals in the States because they happen to have the right research going on. Donate to your local children's hospital. They need the funding. And finally, on my grandchildren's soapbox, I would say, if you haven't called your grandparents lately, call your grandparents, but also pay attention to the organizations in your community that are maybe only being continued by the elderly. You never know what those are, and you never know how important they are. you know, yeah, the group of women getting together to quilt might seem lame, and you don't realize that what they're actually doing is quilting for the nursing home so that those patients have handmade quilts to curl up in once they're there. And there are quilts on their sofas so that it feels like home. Uh, and, funeral teas don't happen by accident. There are people that put those on. And if you are continuing to rely on women in their 70s and 80s and sometimes 90s to put those funeral teas on, what are you going to do when they start to die? As morbid as that sounds,
No, no.
if you don't pay attention to those organizations that are only being run by elderly people, you are going to lose them. And once you lose them, it is really hard to start them back up again. So if you have the time, if you have the ability, pay attention to them, figure out what they are, figure out if you can help either monetarily by making a donation or spending an hour learning how to tie a quilt, learn how to knit, learn how to, how do tables get set for a funeral in your community? Because the last thing you want is for your community to be in a spot where those are desperately needed and the people that have those skills are dead. And it is really easy for that to happen. It is really easy for the one person that knows where the remote is for a fan in a church kitchen to die and no one know where the remote is. And it might not be a church kitchen, it might not be that, small thing of a fan remote, but when that happens, it disrupts the system. And while some disruption to a system is fine, I think lots of us have attended funerals and never thought about the person putting on the luncheon.
Yeah.
Never thought about the people setting the table. That doesn't happen by accident. Those are, from my experience, retiree church women who are coming in the night before and then coming in starting at 6 a.m. the morning of to make sandwiches. And if you have the time to spare to even learn how to set the tables, learn how to set the tables. Because when somebody suddenly dies and they need to pull people together, it's so nice to be able to say, oh, I know how to set the tables.
Yeah, it's interesting that those things are certainly not on most of our radars, for sure.
I think, as Mom said, they were always seen as being the old church lady's job. And COVID killed a lot of those old church ladies.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not old church ladies. Sometimes it's, just community projects. Like who in your community does Christmas baskets for families in need? And I know locally, we pack 80 baskets. That's not a small team that packs those 80 baskets for families.
What do you mean by we? Like, how would someone, 'cause obviously this whole statement is revolving around community, and I know we millennials have a difficult time, being proactively engaged in these small organizations that do things like that. What would you recommend if someone did want to seek out a small group that does this sort of things? Like, some folks may not even know where to begin.
I'm an awful person to ask because I have just, as grandma has gotten rid of jobs and nobody else has stepped in to fill grandma's jobs, I've gone, oh, I guess this is my job now.
Yeah.
I guess I do this now.
Yeah.
I guess I now set up for funeral teas and do all
I've
that
never even
stuff.
heard of funeral tea.
Well, it's like the luncheon after a funeral. Like the sandwiches and the cookies.
Yeah.
It might be a very small town Canadian thing.
No, I mean there's usually somewhat of I think the ones I've been to, they have some sort of a, I guess, reception is it might not be
Yeah,
the right
okay.
word, but there's usually something, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I guess, pay attention to your, local
Yeah.
community and make sure that it can persevere
Like
after some
in
folks are
it
gone.
in our case, like it's there's a bulletin board in the post office. And that's often how I know what's going on where grandma lives, and at home I know what's going on because like community Facebook pages.
Yeah.
I hate Facebook. Community Facebook pages can be a really useful tool.
Yeah.
Also reach out to your local public school. Like they are probably able to direct you to some sort of organization that does something. Like I know grandma used to be one of the jobs I didn't take over. Grandma used to
Yet.
sit with, it's not going to happen because it involves reading.
Okay.
Grandma used to sit with first and second graders that needed help to catch up on their reading. Like that's still a thing that it happens, is that kids that need more reading help that the teachers don't have time to do, women in the community step up and do.
I suppose
Uh,
libraries might be a good resource for that as well.
yeah. So I would say find, and again, it was easier for me because I was just stepping into her roles. I, I was stepping into it as her granddaughter. Like there was no question about who I was. I was her granddaughter and I was stepping into her roles, and it just wasn't up for debate. It was happening. To be fair,
Well,
the biggest debate was actually grandma going, "Do you really want to do that?" And I was like, "But you're not going to do it anymore, so who else is going to do it?"
I mean, to you that sounds like a no-brainer, but I think that a lot of people still would have found a way to not do that. I think you do have a, whether it's something you developed or something that was already there, just maybe dormant. You are one who steps up. That is a thing you do, and I think it's pretty well ingrained in you at this point. And it's been miraculous to see, hear more about. And I know that we've still only scraped the surface of all of this, but
We
I
didn't
I
even touch on agriculture, Drew.
no, we didn't. I had it written down. I was going to ask you about the farming magazines, because Alexandra,
Ontario farmer,
she
rural
has a
voices.
ranking of her favorite farming mags, and yeah, I saw a picture of one. No, I still saw a picture of a couple. You
You
sent me a
saw a
picture of a
picture of
couple.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ontario farmer, rural voices, better farmer, grain farmers of Ontario. Because grain farmers of Ontario is useless to me. I
boo.
don't
Yeah,
care
they're
about
dead
it.
to us. Forget that
It,
one.
it, it tells me nothing.
We've moved beyond them. But no, there's definitely a lot to unwrap. So I know that we just scraped the surface, and we could dig farther. But let me just say, I appreciate the vulnerability. I know that this is not the first time you've been open and vulnerable with this topic, but I really appreciate you doing it with me here. And I'm going to be left with a really profound sense of appreciation for the story about your family and just how special that was that they rallied behind you. And I like, when I asked you if you had considered publish anything, that's really what I was thinking about, because there I'm sure been, hundreds and hundreds of cancer related memoirs and,
there
cancer journey related.
aren't that there aren't that many on pediatric cancer. And so
Okay.
friends and I often say like we could write the book on pediatric cancer because there are so few books on it. There are so few books on surviving rare pediatric cancers. And, if we sat down together, we could do it. The thing
I
is, none of us want to sit down and do
No,
it.
no, and yeah, why would you? Like, this is like, you've already, you all are left with this, sense of life reaching a level where it's more precious, more valuable than ever before. Like, why would you want to do that? But with me, I'm just like, I think that your appreciation of your family and their appreciation of you and just that whole kind of interconnected care is just so delightful to me. And like that part of the story for me is the most unique and kind of magical portion of it. So I don't know, that I'm so very glad to just kind of hear what you're doing for your grandmother and the way you're celebrating your grandfather's life. And that's gonna stick with me. So thank you again for sharing that with me. That was really special.
You're welcome. Next time I'll have to tell you about trout farms, because that's how I spent my Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I have no doubt. Like again, with your engine, I have no doubt that you will be an expert the next time we talk. So, I
Oh, it
look
was
forward
great.
to
It
I look
was
forward to hearing
like
more about the trout farms.
genuinely, it was. We went because Grandma wanted to go to this ag tour, and it was so much fun and so informative. And I had wished that I had my spikes on my crutches, like the ice spikes, because we were climbing up and down hills, and I like needed traction.
You have ice spikes for your crutches. If you're on crutches, isn't the fact that there's ice around kind of like a maybe I shouldn't go out today sort of thing? No, okay. All
Drew,
right.
they're pink. My crutches are pink and sparkly.
I know.
What point of me makes it seem like maybe I don't have ice spikes for my crutches?
I guess I'm just wondering, like, if you have any sort of, self-imposed limitations, because I'm starting to think you don't. I'm starting to think
Drew,
that, like,
I have a pair of 4-inch heels that I've worn to events.
Yeah.
With the crutches. Because,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna wear heels, I'm also gonna bring the crutches.
Uh-huh.
But why would I not wear the heels?
Oh, yeah,
The
why
heels are
not?
pretty.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Because the thing is, I think people forget I'm still a 24-year-old, and it's like, no, I still want to wear the pretty heels. I want to wear the pretty shoes. I don't want to wear the practical shoes.
No, you absolutely should. Do not let any sort of terrain stop you. I love that so much. Like,
yeah.
That is delightful and amazing.
Yeah.
So
they're pink and sparkly and the crutches have ice spikes because
Yes.
why not?
Why not?
Because
I love it.
I'm so much more mobile with ice spikes. I can go so many places and climb so many things.
And threatening as well. Let's throw that in there.
I know, which is why they have to come off, because I'm not allowed to travel through TSA with them on.
I mean, I'd feel safe with you with those on. I feel like people would not pick on me as much if I had my buddy with the ice spikes on her crutches. I feel like it's kind of you'd be my enforcer. I appreciate that. Sounds good.
With my little wimpy muscles, I'll be your enforcer.
Well, I feel like I think it's less of a powerhouse sort of thing and more like a precision strike sort of scenario. You just got to know where to hit. I have full faith in your offensive capabilities. Yeah, see, it's more of a sniper than a boxer, I think. Yeah, no problem there. All right. Well, again, thank you. We'll include all of the links of the charities that Alexandra mentioned below in the description. Is there a place on any of your social medias that folks can go to this month or any month where they could kind of find any links for this sort of stuff?
So I'm doing a series of videos this month where I sit down with my friends on Wednesdays and we talk about pediatric cancer.
Fantastic.
And so mine is out right now, and we'll direct you to Alex's lemonade stand, because a saying in the pediatric cancer world is that research is funded through bake sales and lemonade stands, and unfortunately it is actually true, because another massive fundraiser in the pediatric cancer world is called Cookies for Kids Cancer. And so sometimes when you buy cookies in the grocery store, they are actually funding pediatric cancer research, which is both amazing and incredibly depressing. So
whatever works.
Whatever works.
As long as they're getting the money, then
yeah. So I currently have a link to Alex's lemonade stand as a fundraiser on one of my videos, because pediatric cancer gets 4% of the national cancer budget, but in both the US and Canada, all 200. So fundraising comes from other places. Thank you. It's not enough.
No.
4% for everyone under 18 is too little.
Yeah. Yeah, I like kids. They're
Yeah.
good. They're good to have. I have
You
one. I
have to
have
have,
one. Yeah.
yeah, kids have to survive to have adults.
Yeah. Kind of important for the whole
Yeah.
species thing.
Yeah.
Let's keep that going, please.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't envy you having to edit this.
I'm not gonna edit anything. What are you talking about? This was perfect. Everything was perfect.
Do you want to film something now where you can split it into a part 1 and part 2, or do you want?
No.
Because I've done
YouTube
that before.
YouTube has they can click on continue watching on YouTube. That's fine. I don't care about the metrics on this channel, Alexandra. If my average watch time is low, like whatever.
See,
it's just
that makes it so clear that your pen budget does not come out of your YouTube AdSense, and for me, it's like my pen budget is whatever I make on YouTube in a month.
This is not monetized. This is simply for the folks that donated last year to get me this equipment. I'm just continuing to produce content for those nice people that said that they'd listen to me talk about anything. So here you go, pediatric cancer. You asked for it, folks.
You asked for it. Too bad. Here we are.
No. I count myself fortunate, and I'm sure that the folks out there do as well. So thank you again for the 5th time, I guess. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. You can catch me here, next time, whenever. I will be eating an MRE with my friend Steven, I believe, here at some point soon. And then Alexandra has Alexandra's Art Insanity on YouTube, Instagram, wherever. And
not wherever. I'm not on TikTok.
Not on TikTok.
But, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Boom. Check her out. She's doing insane art all the time. So, or whatever. That's her name. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.